Chapter 713. Huang Ling opened her WeChat to take a look. Magoo, Huang Ling, what time do you get off work? Huang Ling replied, 3 in the afternoon. Magoo replied instantly, take a break after work. Let's have dinner together tonight. Huang Ling sent a questioning emoji and then asked, is there something you want to talk to me about? Otherwise, why would Magoo want to have dinner with her out of the blue? Magoo did not give her an answer. Instead, he sent her a message, you like spicy food? I made a reservation at Beizai Sichuan restaurant. When Huang Ling saw this message, she suddenly felt an indescribable emotion in her heart. How did Magoo know that she liked spicy food? But that was all in the past. She did not like spicy food very much now. The last time she went home, Lu Fengfeng made her spicy hot pot. In the end, it was so spicy that her gastritis acted up and she had to take medicine for a few days. Actually, it was not that she did not like spicy food. It was just that this body did not allow her to eat spicy food. She had serious gastritis, oh. But she did not reject Magoo's invitation. After work, she went back to the apartment to take a shower. Then, she lay on the bed and slept. The alarm went off at 5:30. After getting out of bed, she washed up and changed into a set of casual clothes. Her hair was not long yet. In casual clothes, she looked more sunny and cheerful. Carrying her bag, she came out of the room. Lu Fengfeng was sitting at the dining table, picking vegetables. When she saw Huang Ling coming out with her bag, Lu Fengfeng asked curiously, daughter, are you going out? Huang Ling smiled and said, Mom, you don't have to cook for me tonight. My friend asked me out for dinner. Friend? Which friend? Wuyo. When she heard that it was Song Wuyo, Lu Fengfeng smiled. Okay, have fun. After going downstairs, Huang Ling drove her Volkswagen to the Sichuan restaurant. In the Sichuan restaurant, by the window, Magoo and Huang Ling sat facing each other. They were eating hot pot. Huang Ling looked at the steaming hot pot soup. The soup was boiling in the pot, and the ingredients inside were like naughty little fellows dancing. It was a spicy hot pot base. Winter was the best season for hot pot. Huang Ling looked at Magoo, who was boiling his meat, and asked, you didn't look for me just to eat hot pot with you, right? Magoo scooped the cooked meat into Huang Ling's bowl with a colander. Eat. Huang Ling lowered her head and looked at the ingredients in the bowl. Most of them were fat sheep. Huang Ling joked, if you want to eat fat sheep hot pot, just kill one yourself. Magoo was boiling some vegetables for himself. When he heard Huang Ling's words, he smiled. Next time, you two can go to the ranch together to kill them. Huang Ling picked up a piece of meat and put it into her mouth. Magoo looked at her gently. How does it taste? Huang Ling smiled and said, fragrant and spicy. Not bad. Huang Ling, do you understand me? Magoo paused in the middle of boiling the vegetables. Huang Ling smiled embarrassedly, I don't know you very well. In the past, in her eyes, heart, and mind, there was only one man, Gu Yanhao. She didn't care about other men. Even if she knew that Magoo was Gu Yanhao's good brother, she didn't try to understand him. Now that Magoo asked her, she could only tell the truth. My personality is similar to Ah Ho's. Huang Ling smiled. That's why you two can become good friends, good brothers. Wealth. If I work hard, I won't earn less than him. Huang Ling nodded. I know. You and he are on the rich list every year. And looking at the current situation, you will be the president in the future. Chapter 714. The president was rich and powerful. He was awesome. Magoo looked at Huang Ling seriously. I'm the president. Are you willing to be my wife? When Huang Ling heard this, she didn't know if it was because she choked on her saliva or because of the chili. Her throat hurt and she coughed violently. The more she coughed, the more itchy her throat became. The more itchy she felt, the more she wanted to cough. Her eyes turned red from the intense coughing. Gradually, tears started to flow out of her eyes. Magoo sat there with his back straight. He pursed his lips slightly and looked at her silently. When Huang Ling finished coughing, he handed her a glass of water. Huang Ling took it and smiled embarrassedly. I accidentally got spacey in my throat. Sigh, I'm dying of coughing. Drink some water to moisten your throat. Don't be too anxious when you eat spicy food in the future, Magoo said gently. Okay. Huang Ling drank a mouthful of water. When the water flowed down her throat felt much better. Huang Ling looked up at Magoo. What did you say just now? As she coughed, she calmed down. Magoo looked straight into her eyes. Are you willing to be my wife? At the moment, I don't want to get married, Huang Ling said. Was Magoo proposing to her? He wanted to settle her with just a pot of hot pot. We can get married first, then fall in love, Magoo said. Huang Ling didn't understand and asked, does being the president mean you have to get married? Was that why he was in such a hurry? No. It's just that after I become the president, more women will pester me. Huang Ling felt a little disappointed. So, you don't want me to be your wife because you have feelings for me, but because you want to use me to chase away those women who pester you? I believe that love will grow with time. But I don't want to get hurt again. Huang Ling, I won't let you get hurt. But the only person you care about is Wuyo, isn't that right? Magoo's eyes darkened when he heard that. That's right, the person he wanted to protect was Song Wuyo. However, he knew that any woman could be his wife, except for Song Wuyo. Magoo looked at Huang Ling calmly. I can't stay single for the rest of my life because of her. Would you stay single for the rest of your life because of Aho? How was Huang Ling supposed to answer this? If the old love was gone, there would be a new one, right? However, her new love had not appeared yet. She was not sure if she would stay single for the rest of her life because of Gu Yanhao. Magoo seemed to want to be aggressive and asked again, really? Will you stay single for the rest of your life because of Aho? Huang Ling smiled bitterly. How old am I? It can't be that you haven't met the right person in your life, right? She had met someone who loved her deeply and could move her. Why should she reject him? Magoo looked at Huang Ling seriously. Maybe I'm the right person for you. Huang Ling's heart pounded when she heard that. On the day I take office, I want to announce to the whole world that Huang Ling will be the first lady of K country. Magoo looked serious and did not look like he was joking at all. Huang Ling's heart was beating even faster when she heard that. She looked at Magoo in a daze. He wanted to announce to the whole world that she was the first lady. Magoo's handsome face was calm and his eyes were sincere. I'll be honest with you in the future. I don't have true love for you now. After marrying you, I'll try to protect you and love you. We'll live a married life. Magoo smiled. Maybe when you become my woman, my heart will be with you. Haven't you heard that a man can only love if he has sex? Chapter 7:15. I need to think about it. Huang Ling tried to calm herself down and said lightly. Give me an answer before tomorrow. Because tomorrow afternoon, he would start the presidential election ceremony. Okay. Huang Ling lowered her eyes, and a complicated look flashed across her eyes. After eating the hot pot, Huang Ling refused Magoo's drive and drove back to the apartment. Her mother, Lu Fengfeng, had already eaten and was sitting in the living room watching a drama. Seeing Huang Ling come back, she looked at Huang Ling with a smile. You're back so soon. Huang Ling took off her shoes and replied, yes. After changing her shoes, Huang Ling sat down beside Lu Fengfeng. Lu Fengfeng cut the fruit and placed it on the coffee table. She looked away from Huang Ling and returned to the TV. Have some fruit. Okay. Huang Ling pulled open the drawer of the coffee table and took out the stomach medicine that she had finished last time. Lu Fengfeng glanced at her and was shocked when she saw her taking out the medicine. Your stomach hurts again. Huang Lingqiang squeezed out a smile. A little. Seeing that her lips were a little red and swollen, Lu Fengfeng asked, did you eat spicy food? I had spicy hot pot. Lu Fengfeng frowned and expected better from her. Didn't the doctor tell you not to eat spicy food and drink alcohol? Why didn't you listen? I couldn't refuse such kindness. Mrs. Gu doesn't look like a heartless person. If she knew that you had gastric problems, she definitely wouldn't have treated you to spicy hot pot. I didn't tell her. Even if you didn't tell her, you should be careful when you eat. Mom, actually, my stomach doesn't hurt. I'm just afraid of pain. I'll eat it first. You've been like this since you were young. You never listened to me. Lu Fengfeng shook her head helplessly. Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng. After spending time with Lu Fengfeng, Huang Ling liked this mother very much. Although this mother was not born into a wealthy family, nor was she the wife of a wealthy family. However, she was very diligent and kept the house neat and tidy. She also had a gentle personality and was 100 times better than Madame Song's. Huang Ling enjoyed this hard-won motherly love. Huang Ling hooked Lu Fengfeng's arm and coquettishly said, Mom, I'll listen to you in the future. Mom, do you know that you are the best mother in the world? When she knew that Lady Ji chose to sacrifice Song Wuyo to protect her two sons, Huang Ling was very glad that Lu Fengfeng loved Huang Ling so much. When she recalled being bullied by Mrs. Song after returning to the Song family, Huang Ling really envied the original owner for having such a good mother. Lu Fengfeng was praised and smiled kindly. She was in a good mood. She hugged Huang Ling and sighed, I'm really grateful to God for letting you wake up. Huang Ling, Mom thanks you. I should be the one thanking you. Thank you for not giving up on me back then and insisting on treating me. Alright, there's no need to be so emotional between mother and daughter. Mom, I have something to tell you. Speak. Mom, listen. You know Migu, don't you? Lu Fengfeng nodded, yes, he's Child Gu's good brother. Now he's been rumored to be the president of K country in the future. Huang Ling hooked up her lips and smiled. Do you think he's handsome? Lu Fengfeng nodded, he's so handsome that I'm attracted to him. He's still single. Lu Fengfeng turned her head and looked at Huang Ling in surprise. You don't like Mr. Migu, do you? Huang Ling smiled calmly, I don't like him. This was the truth. She really didn't like him. Lu Fengfeng was even more surprised, he likes you. Chapter 7:16. He doesn't like me either. He already has someone he likes. Who is the person he likes? Lu Fengfeng asked nosily. I'm not sure either, but I heard that the person he likes is married. What a pity. Isn't he preparing to be the president? I heard that he proposed to a female friend and asked that girl to marry him. Lu Fengfeng listened. That girl has a man she loves deeply, but that man is married. Lu Fengfeng blinked. Why were things so unlucky? The person he liked was already married. I also heard that he confessed to that girl that although he doesn't love her now, he will try to date her after marriage and try to love her. Although he doesn't love her, he will protect her and give her a good life. He will also live a married life with her. Seeing that the girl hesitated and didn't agree, he even forced the girl to ask if it was because the man she loved deeply was married that she wouldn't marry for the rest of her life. Mom, I think that this girl is very silly. What do you think? Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng with a smile. Lu Fengfeng finally understood Huang Ling's words. She nodded and stood on Huang Ling's side. I also think that this girl is silly. For Mr. Magoo to confess to this girl, it means that he doesn't want to hurt this girl. But he knows that the person they love is already married. There's no chance, so they might as well be together. They are in the same boat. They are both people who are in the same boat. Why should they have known each other before? It doesn't matter if they have feelings for each other as long as they are suitable for marriage. They don't have feelings for each other these few years. When they have children, these feelings will slowly develop. By then, they will be inseparable from each other. Huang Ling supported her head and looked at Lu Fengfeng with a smile. Mom, your analysis is very reasonable. It's as if you've experienced it before. Lu Fengfeng rolled her eyes at Huang Ling. Have you broken your brain and forgotten about your dead dad? We got married first and fell in love later. Huang Ling asked curiously, you two also got married to the person you loved? Lu Fengfeng shook her head. No, I didn't like anyone at that time. It was your dead father who liked someone. The woman he liked had even slept with him and had his child. However, the woman's family was against them being together. They despised him for being poor and forced the woman to have an abortion. After we broke up, your dead dad was very sad. When your grandmother saw him crying on the sofa, she had no choice but to matchmake him. After we met on a blind date, he immediately married me in order to forget that woman. Huang Ling smiled. Are you willing to marry me? Lu Fengfeng pursed her lips and looked as if she had been fooled. When we met on a blind date, I saw that he was quite handsome, so I took a liking to him. The matchmaker exaggerated how good he was. When we chatted alone, he didn't say that he had a girlfriend. We only found out that he had a girlfriend after we got married and got pregnant with you. Huang Ling, Dad didn't tell you at that time because he was afraid that you would mind and refuse to marry him. It's not a bad idea to confess after marriage. He won't lie to you. Bah. At the mention of this, Lu Fengfeng was a little angry. How is that confessing to me after marriage? I only found out about that woman's existence after the marriage when that woman came back to look for him. Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng in shock. Then, that dead dad of mine cheated on you after marriage. Lu Fengfeng pursed her lips. It's not considered cheating. That woman came back to look for him and he ignored her. Chapter 717. Huang Ling chuckled. That damn dad is quite nice. Nice my ass. Huang Ling blinked. What's wrong now? He ignored her because her family objected to them being together. But what he said broke my heart. Huang Ling's curiosity was piqued. She grabbed Lu Fengfeng's arm and asked. Mom, what did he say to break your heart? Lu Fengfeng's face was full of disdain. She snorted and said. I don't know that he had met with that woman. That night, he, who never drinks, came back with 2 bottles of beer. He sat on the balcony and drank alone. I saw that he had a troubled look on his face, so I went up to him and asked him what happened. He said that his ex-girlfriend came back to look for him. When I heard this, it was like I was struck by lightning. Why didn't this guy tell me that he had an ex-girlfriend? At that time, he looked up at me and said drunkenly, I have gotten the marriage certificate with you. If I don't get the marriage certificate with you, I will get back together with her. Huang Ling heard this and felt sorry for Lu Fengfeng. She said angrily. This dad is really outrageous. Isn't that right? I was pregnant with you at that time, and it was not even 3 months. When I heard what he said, my eyes almost fell out, and my heart was in pain. Huang Ling touched Lu Fingfing's face and comforted her. Mom, don't be sad. Don't be in pain. I am here with you. Lu Fengfeng took away Huang Ling's hand and smiled. Silly girl, isn't it all in the past? What happened after that? After that, I asked him if his ex-girlfriend was prettier than me. He did not directly say who was prettier. He just kept saying that his ex-girlfriend was tall, with big breasts and a big butt. When I see her, I will feel inferior. When Huang Ling heard that, she slapped her thigh hard and said angrily, Dad, aren't your words too hurtful? He is admitting that his ex-girlfriend is pretty. Damn, didn't they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder? He married you. Even if you are not as pretty as her, he should not say such things in front of you. Isn't it? Then, I found out where his ex-girlfriend lived and caught her downstairs one day when I was free. Huang Ling was surprised. You hit him. Lu Fengfeng rolled her eyes at Huang Ling. Am I that kind of person? I caught her because I wanted to see if she was really beautiful and if I would feel inferior looking at her. Huang Ling's eyes lit up. Do you think she's beautiful after seeing her? Lu Fingfing's face was full of disdain. Pretty my ass. She has a long oval face, as if she had plastic surgery. There were also swollen eye bags. However, her figure is just like what your father said. She's tall and voluptuous, with breasts and buttocks. Other than that, she can't compare to me. The first feeling I had when I saw her was that a woman like her could make me feel inferior. At that time, I hated your father even more. Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng. Did you quarrel a lot in the end? Lu Fengfeng looked unhappy. That goes without saying. When I came back, I quarreled with him. He even asked for a divorce. When I heard the word divorce, I cried. I was so sad. I said, let's get a divorce. But on Saturday, you have to accompany me for an abortion. He agreed. Huang Ling's face withered. This father of hers wanted to abort her. When I first married your father, your maternal grandparents didn't really approve of it. I told your father that we can get an abortion first and get a divorce certificate. But don't tell my parents so soon. Otherwise, my parents will be sad. Your father agreed. Chapter 7:18. There were less than 3 days until Saturday. During those 3 days, I was very sad and cried every night. When I thought about aborting the child, my heart ached. Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng with heartache. What a pitiful mother. Later, I thought it through. I could get a divorce, but I didn't want to abort the child. I wanted to give birth to her. On Saturday, when your father saw that I didn't mention going to the hospital for an abortion, he didn't take the initiative to say anything either. Time passed day by day, and no one mentioned abortion or divorce. Then, my belly gradually grew bigger. Your father saw that I couldn't fit in my clothes anymore, so he took me to buy maternity clothes. He bought me walnuts, peanuts, and apples. He told me to eat a little every day. This way, the child would be very smart and have good skin. When she heard this, Huang Ling felt that it was not bad for her father to be like this. Lu Fengfeng smiled. After 7 months, my belly was very big. In order to let me have a natural birth, he took a walk with me every night. When he came back, he would touch my belly and talk to the baby. He liked his son very much, but when he found out through the ultrasound that it was a girl, he didn't express his unhappiness. When he touched my belly and chatted, he changed the way he called the baby to his baby girl. I saw the kindness of a father and the gentleness of a husband in his eyes. I asked him if he still kept in touch with his ex-girlfriend. He stared straight at my bulging belly and said, I stopped contacting her a long time ago. I even deleted her phone number. She's married, and she's married to a rich man. I asked him if he regretted marrying me. He said, I regret saying those hurtful words to you back then. At this point, Lu Fingfing's eyes were already red. After you were born, we treated each other respectfully. He treated you very well and loved you very much. Once, I fell sick and my whole body swelled. We didn't know what was going on. There was no part of my body that wasn't swollen. My eyes were so swollen that I couldn't see, and my lips were swollen like sausages. I couldn't get out of bed and walk, so he stayed by my bed and took care of me for a week. I didn't dare to look at the mirror because my face was so swollen. He even held my face and said with a smile that my lips were swollen like Tony Leung's in the movie East Meets West. I was watching this movie and when I heard him say that, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Mom. Huang Ling hugged Lu Fengfeng. Actually, Dad doted on you a lot, didn't he? Lu Fengfeng smiled and said, yes, later on, he loved me very much. So, the girl you mentioned just now, Mr. Magoo wants to marry her. I think she should marry him. But, I heard that the girl has a man she loves very, very much. Huang Ling faintly said. Lu Fengfeng didn't think so. Can love be eaten? She loves him very much. Will he give her a child and give her a warm family? This. I don't think so. Gu Yanhao liked Song Wuyo so much, and she never thought of breaking them up. That's it. Lu Fengfeng looked at Huang Ling. Do you know this girl? Huang Ling smiled. I don't know her. I only heard it from Wuyo tonight. You don't know her either, so you can't persuade her. Sigh, when it comes to love, it depends on fate. Ha. Huang Ling yawned and looked sleepy. Mom, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. Okay. Lu Fengfeng wanted to watch TV. Back in the room, Huang Ling sat in front of the dressing table and looked up at herself in the mirror. Should she agree to Magoo and start a family with him? Chapter 719. Huang Ling stared at herself in the mirror. Would Magoo be faithful to her after they got married? Ha! Huang Ling laughed bitterly in her heart. She didn't like Magoo, so why should she care if he was faithful to her? Her mother was right. What was the use of loving Gu Yanhao? Could Gu Yanhao have children with her? Would Gu Yanhao give her a warm home? Huang Ling thought for a long time before she took out her phone and sent Magoo a WeChat message. Huang Ling, I agree to marry you. About 3 minutes later, Magoo replied, sorry, I just got home. Okay, I will choose an auspicious day to get married. Huang Ling, but I have conditions. Magoo, after we get married, my money is your money. I will let you live a rich and fulfilling life. If you want to work, you can continue to work. If you don't want to work, you can stay at home and have servants to take care of you. Huang Ling, these are not conditions that I want. Magoo, go ahead. Huang Ling, I know that you like Wuyo, but I hope that after we get married, you can respect our marriage. Of course, I will respect you and try to accept you. Magoo, I will. I think we will get along very well. Huang Ling, I hope so. Magoo, what you are worried about will not happen. Huang Ling, I know. What am I worried about? Magoo, you are worried that after we get married, I will abandon you and cheat on you. Huang Ling, I am not that kind of man. You can trust me completely. When she saw this message, Huang Ling's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. She directly replied to Magoo with a voice message, thank you. She had tried very hard to control her voice, but, Magoo asked, are you crying? Huang no, the chili is making my throat itchy. Magoo said, lying after being exposed is not what a smart woman would do. Huang chuckled. I'm not a smart woman. Magoo, don't think too much. I believe that after we get married, our lives will be better than being single. At least. I've broken through. Huang blushed when she saw it. Yeah, you're going to be 1,000 years old virgin. Magoo, I'll call you when I'm free. I need to prepare my speech. Huang okay, go ahead. After ending the WeChat chat, Huang repeatedly scrolled through their chat history. She looked at each of their chat messages carefully. As she watched, Huang smiled. Gradually, she felt that Magoo was not bad. With Gu Yanhao's help and everyone's approval, Magoo would be inaugurated at the Dragon Palace today. During the ceremony, Magoo held the country's national treasure, the Jade Dragon, in one hand, and stood on the podium to give his inauguration speech. Behind him stood the soldiers and leaders. On his right were Gu Yanhao, Song Wuyo, Mu Axayan, Ban Jianing, and the others. Below the podium, there were rows of people standing on the stairs. The square in front of the Dragon Palace was filled with people. The atmosphere was solemn. The guards maintained their solemn postures and stood quietly at their posts. Everyone was waiting solemnly for Magoo's inauguration speech. The long speech expressed the aspirations of the entire country. For a moment, everyone felt that Magoo was more suitable to be the president. The speech finally ended. Magoo held the Jade Dragon with both hands and bowed deeply to everyone. Then, under the escort of the bodyguards, he walked down the stairs and shook hands with them. Bang! Chapter 720. Bang, bang bang, suddenly, ear-piercing gunshots rang out at the scene. Hearing the gunshots, the scene immediately fell into chaos. The crowd who were listening to the new president's speech at the Dragon Palace Square began to panic when they heard the gunshots. Some ran away for no reason, some squatted down and screamed with their hands on their heads, and some rushed up bravely to protect the new president. Gu Yanhao's first reaction was to hug Song Wuyo tightly to protect her. A group of bodyguards rushed up to protect Magoo, and another group rushed to the place where the gunshots came from. Bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, gunshots rang out continuously, as if they came from all directions. The direction of the bullets was Song Wuyo's direction, not Magoo's. They couldn't hit Song Wuyo, but they injured the innocent people who were close to Song Wuyo. Gu Yanhao's eyes were like an eagle's as he sharply swept in the direction of the gunshots. He protected Song Wuyo with one hand and held a gun with the other as he drove in that direction. Magoo was a little far away from them. Seeing that all the bullets were aimed at them, Magoo's expression changed drastically. He ignored the bodyguard's obstruction and rushed up like an arrow. Bang! Magoo had just rushed over when a bullet hit his arm. The bullet brushed past his arm, and a hole immediately appeared in his sleeve. The grazed wound immediately bled. The stinging pain made Magoo's movements pause for a moment. Gu Yanhao had already protected Song Wuyo very well, but the enemy was not weak either. Bullets were fired at her from all directions. Song Wuyo's right foot was hit by a bullet. The pain made her stagger as she retreated into the Dragon Palace. Wuyo! Wuyo! Gu Yanhao and Magoo shouted at the same time. Gu Yanhao grabbed her body and quickly retreated into the castle with difficulty. Magoo followed him in. His expression was tense and his gaze was cold. It was as if he would cut the other party into pieces if he caught him. Not long after Magoo and the others entered the Dragon Palace, the gunshots outside gradually stopped. Most likely, the target was no longer at the scene, and he was afraid of being caught, so he quickly left. No gunshots were heard, and the chaotic scene slowly became less noisy. Everyone was nervous. Was the new president injured? On the stairs, Huang Ling, who was being pushed back and forth, stood there like a statue. She raised her head and looked up with an indifferent expression. Magoo said that after his inauguration speech, he would announce to the world that he was going to marry Huang Ling. From now on, she would be the first lady of K country. Therefore, she specially changed into a set of decent and fashionable clothes today. In order not to embarrass Magoo, she even put on light makeup. She looked very beautiful. However, she saw that Magoo did not care about his own safety and took the bullet for Song Wuyo. That's right, from her point of view, Magoo flew towards Song Wuyo and took the bullet for her. And he was injured, but he still did not care. When he turned around and looked at Song Wuyo, he saw Huang Ling. The two of them looked at each other. Moreover, Huang Ling was pushed down by the chaotic crowd and almost fell down the stairs. He saw it, but he did not come forward to protect her. Instead, he protected Song Wuyo. After a long time, Huang Ling smiled bitterly. Before she came, she seemed to have asked for too much. She did not care so much. This was not what she wanted now. What made her even more unhappy was Song Wuyo. She seemed to be injured. She rushed forward, but was stopped by the guards. Huang Ling looked nervous and begged the guards, "I'm a friend of your president. I'm also Mrs. Gu's good friend. I saw that Mrs. Gu was injured." Chapter 721. "Miss, I'm sorry, but we can't believe you." Before Huang Ling could speak, one of the guards said solemnly, "I'm really President Mu's friend. If you don't believe me, you can ask him." Huang Ling became more anxious as she spoke. "Miss, if you continue this, I'll arrest you." The other guard didn't seem to be so easy to talk to. Huang Ling was shocked. Afraid of being arrested, she gave up. She retreated a few steps and called Magoo. But the call went through, and he didn't pick up. Maybe Wuyo's injury was so serious that he couldn't be bothered with his call. Inside the Dragon Palace, Gu Yanhao helped Song Wuyo sit on the sofa. Looking at the wound on her right foot, Gu Yanhao was extremely nervous. He knelt on one knee and carefully held Song Wuyo's foot. Looking at the wound below her knee, his heart ached. Looking at the bleeding wound, he frowned. His heart clenched in pain. The bullet was lodged in the bone. "You're hurt." Magoo stood behind Gu Yanhao and looked at Song Wuyo's injury with heartache. He had already called for a doctor. But looking at her bleeding wound, his eyes were terrifyingly cold. "Sir, there's a lady named Huang Ling outside. She insists on barging in." A guard came forward and said cautiously when he felt the deterrent force coming from Magoo's body. Magoo said calmly, "Let her in." Gu Yanhao looked up and glared at Magoo. "I want to know who she is." Magoo said, "I've already sent people to capture her." Song Wuyo endured the pain and frowned. "Obviously, she's after me. I'm guessing she's a follower of Qing Jinxin." Magoo's face darkened as he said coldly, "No matter who the other party is, once we catch them, we will definitely convict them. Why hasn't the doctor arrived yet?" Gu Yanhao was distressed and irritated. He growled at Magoo, "Isn't there a doctor in the Dragon Palace?" "The doctor is here." At this moment, the newly promoted presidential secretary exclaimed joyfully. A male doctor wearing a white coat, carrying a large medicine box, hurriedly walked in. "Hurry up!" Magoo fiercely shouted, his entire body emitting a frightening killing intent. The doctor was so scared that he trembled. He hurried over and knelt in front of Song Wuyo. Before he arrived, Gu Yanhao had rolled up his trousers, revealing a ghastly wound. After the doctor checked the wound, he raised his head and looked at Song Wuyo. The bullet is stuck between two bones. We have to take it out. Song Wuyo was in so much pain that her face gradually turned pale. She looked at the doctor and nodded. Take it out. Huang Ling was brought in by a guard. She glanced at Gu Yanhao and Migu, whose expressions were very ugly. Then she looked at Song Wuyo's wound. When she saw Song Wuyo's wound, Huang Ling's heart clenched. It was as if the wound was on her leg. She was not stupid. She could also see that the bullets just now were all aimed at Song Wuyo. The other party's target was obviously Song Wuyo. At this moment, Huang Ling felt that it was quite good to be Huang Ling. At least, she didn't have to worry about being suddenly assassinated when she went shopping or eating. Song Wuyo raised her head and saw Huang Ling looking at her wound with a distressed expression. She smiled. Don't be sad. It doesn't hurt that much. When Huang Ling heard this, her heart felt bitter. She raised her eyes and looked at Song Wuyo. She smiled bitterly. How can it not hurt? This is a gunshot wound. She had been pushed down just now. When she fell, her palm was worn out. She still felt the pain. Song Wuyo had a gunshot wound. How could it not hurt? Chapter 722. Song Wuyo smiled and comforted Huang Ling. I can bear this kind of pain. While she was chatting with Huang Ling, the doctor had already prepared the tools to remove the bullet. The doctor was holding a syringe. The syringe was filled with liquid. He said to Song Wuyo, Mrs. Gu, I'll give you anesthesia first and remove the bullet. Anesthesia. Will it affect the fetus? Song Wuyo suddenly asked. When she asked this question, Gu Yanhao and Migu's hearts felt as if a hammer had hit them hard. Huang Ling's expression also changed slightly. The doctor was slightly stunned. Mrs. Gu was a pregnant woman. The doctor raised his eyebrows and looked at Song Wuyo calmly. Anesthesia has a strong effect on the fetus. 95% of the time it will cause the fetus to be deformed. Moreover, your wound is quite serious. After the bullet is removed, you will need to take tetanus and other anti-inflammatory drugs. You will also need to take anti-inflammatory drugs. What if I don't take anti-inflammatory drugs or take anti-inflammatory drugs? Song Wuyo asked. If the wound is infected with bacteria, you will need to amputate. When Gu Yanhao and Migu heard this, their expressions became very gloomy. Huang Ling's eyes reddened and she wanted to cry. Song Wuyo suddenly burst into laughter and said, How can it be so serious? A bullet would require amputation. In her previous life, when she was fighting in the Axe dynasty, she had suffered countless injuries. The wounds were long and deep. She just used herbal powder to apply it. After a long time, the wounds would heal. No one wanted to amputate either. When the doctor saw Song Wuyo laughing, he said something that made him uncertain. He looked at Song Wuyo. Mrs. Gu, do you mean to remove the bullet directly without anesthesia? No. Gu Yanhao suddenly said, Use anesthesia. Use all the medicine that should be used. The doctor was in a difficult position. In this case, the fetus, it's not more than 3 months. I'll abort it later. Gu Yanhao was reluctant to abort the child. But between the child and Song Wuyo, of course, he would choose the latter. As long as her wound healed and her body recovered, she could still get pregnant in the future. Migu pursed his lips and clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Huang Ling's heart ached because of Gu Yanhao's words. She looked at Gu Yanhao. Gu Yanhao's ruthlessness was the same as when he forced Song Wuyo to have an abortion. At that time, she thought that he was so heartless because he didn't like children. It turned out that he had asked her to remove it because she had taken a lot of anti-inflammatory drugs and drank alcohol. Ah ho, how can you say such things? Song Woo-yo felt a chill in her heart. That's our child. Gu Yenhao looked at Song Woo-yo with heartache. Woo-yo, how can we remove the bullet without anesthesia? Without anti-inflammatory drugs, it will be difficult for your wound to heal. This time, the child will forgive us. When your injury is healed, we will have a child again. No. Song Woo-yo's face was resolute. Just help me remove the bullet. I can bear this pain. After taking it out, I won't take any medicine or get any injections. Song Woo-yo looked at the doctor. If you give me anesthesia, I won't take it out. At most, I'll take it out after I give birth. That won't do, the doctor said anxiously. Woo-yo. Gu Yenhao sat down beside Song Woo-yo and hugged her. He persuaded, don't make a fuss. It won't hurt if you're anesthetized. Song Woo-yo looked at Gu Yenhao with reddened eyes. Ah ho, I'm not afraid of pain. I've already said that no matter how painful it is, I can bear it. But, no buts. I will let our child stay in my stomach safely. Song Woo-yo looked at the doctor resolutely. Take it out. No anesthesia. Chapter 723. The doctor raised his head and looked at Migu with an inquiring gaze. Migu was an outsider, so he only said plainly, listen to the person involved. Now, his heart felt as if it had been sliced by a sharp knife. His chest felt stuffy and painful. Gu Yenhao understood Song Woo-yo's temperament. If she did not want them to administer anesthesia, they would definitely not administer anesthesia. Otherwise, just like what she said, they would rather not do it. In the end, he still followed her wishes and asked the doctor not to administer anesthesia but to remove the bullet for her. He was already prepared for her to scream in pain. If she couldn't take it, he would let her bite his arm. But, when the doctor used a pair of forceps to carefully remove the bullet for Song Woo-yo clenched her teeth tightly. It was very painful. But she endured it. When the forceps entered the wound, it was as if someone had extracted all the bone marrow in her body. This kind of pain was enough to make one faint. As Song Woo-yo endured too much, the muscles on her face were tense. Her face was extremely pale. The beads of sweat on her forehead were the size of soybeans. They appeared one by one and then slid down. She clenched her teeth tightly and did not make a single sound. When Gu Yenhao, Migu, and Huang Ling saw her like this, their hearts ached. Song Woo-yo did not cry, but Huang Ling did. She stood by the side and cried silently. She felt pain just by looking at it. Song Woo-yo must be in a lot of pain. When the forceps reached the position of the bullet, Song Woo-yo was in so much pain that she almost fainted. Even then, she did not make a sound or a sound of pain. However, Gu Yenhao held her hand tightly and clenched it into a fist. When Gu Yenhao saw her enduring the pain, his eyes turned red and hot. He had never cried before. He still could not protect her and let her get hurt. Clang, the bullet was finally removed. The bullet with blood was thrown into a metal basin. The metal basin was filled with clear water. When the bullet fell into the basin, the blood on it immediately exploded like a beautiful flower. At this moment, Song Woo-yo's tense body was like a deflated balloon, limply leaning into Gu Yenhao's embrace. Her inner clothes were already drenched in sweat. Gu Yenhao hugged her and said in a deep voice, "Okay, I took it out." Song Woo-yo didn't have the strength to laugh, let alone speak. She was panting softly. The doctor looked at Song Woo-yo in admiration and said, "I'll give you some painkillers that won't affect the fetus." Song Woo-yo responded weakly. Her entire body was limp. After applying the powder, the doctor took out the sofa and bandaged the wound. When the painkiller powder was sprinkled on the wound, it brought a wave of numbness. This painkiller powder also had the effect of stopping bleeding. After the wound was bandaged, Song Woo-yeo's spirit improved a little. The doctor told her what she could and couldn't eat and then packed the medicine box. "Magoo, you're injured." At this moment, Huang Ling came back to her senses and looked at Magoo with a complicated expression. The doctor paused and turned his head. He looked at Huang Ling meaningfully. A woman who directly called his name should have a special relationship with him, right? Then he looked at Magoo's arm. Blood had already flowed down his arm to the ground. It had already dyed the ground red like a strange flower. "Your Excellency, shall I treat your wound?" The doctor walked over and looked at Magoo respectfully. Magoo glanced at him and then stared at Song Woo-yeo's bandaged wound. He sat cross-legged and the doctor came over with the medicine box to treat his wound. Chapter 724. It was just a superficial wound. The bullet had brushed past his flesh. It was not serious. He just needed to stop the bleeding and bandage it. Stupid woman. Gu Yanhao caressed Song Woo-yeo's pale face. His voice was low and hoarse. "Actually, you don't have to do this." Song Woo-yeo smiled weakly. "The bullet is out. I'm fine. I'm sorry. I'm very ashamed." "What are you ashamed of?" "I always let you get hurt and can't protect you well." Gu Yanhao was very upset. "You're a fool." Song Woo-yeo pursed her lips. "You protected me very well. If you didn't protect me so desperately, I would have been shot into a hornet's nest. Why am I not the one who got hurt?" Gu Yanhao was even more upset. "You're hurt, but my heart hurts. Isn't it the same for me?" "You're hurt, but my heart hurts." Song Woo-yeo smiled. "So, it's the same no matter who gets hurt. Neither of us will have a good time. At least, I can take out the bullet with anesthesia. I'm better than you. I can take out the bullet without anesthesia." "Silly girl." Gu Yanhao hugged her and said gently, "Sleep if you want. I'll carry you home. The wound is still hurting." "How can I sleep?" Gu Yanhao turned around and glanced at the doctor. He said fiercely, "Didn't you put painkillers on it? Why is the wound still hurting?" The doctor was shocked and quickly explained, "Young Master Gu, painkillers take more than 10 minutes to take effect. Also, this is Chinese medicine powder, so it takes longer to take effect." "Isn't it faster?" "No, it's faster. It's Western medicine. Mrs. Gu is pregnant. Don't touch it." When Gu Yanhao heard this, he became even more violent. The painkillers slowly took effect. Moreover, after the sharp pain, she felt that it was not so painful. She raised her eyes, looked at Gu Yanhao, and chuckled, "It's not that painful anymore. The most painful time was when the bullet was clipped out. Now that the bullet is clipped out, it's not that painful anymore." Gu Yanhao didn't know what to say. At this time, no matter how much he said, it would seem pale and powerless. He couldn't bear her pain, so he hugged her tightly. His strength was great, as if he wanted to knead her body into his bones. After the doctor treated Magoo's wound, Huang Ling came over to help him up. "No need, I'll do it myself." Her hand hadn't even touched him when he rejected her. Huang Ling was startled. Her outstretched hand froze in midair, unable to pull it back for a moment. In her opinion, Magoo was in such a hurry to reject her because he didn't want her to touch him. In fact, Magoo didn't want to show a weak appearance in front of his subordinates. If he needed a woman to help him, it would damage his image. However, Huang Ling didn't know that. Huang Ling felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. They were about to get married, but he was still so repulsed by her. The doctor inadvertently caught a glimpse of Huang Ling's unretracted hand. He raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at Huang Ling. "Miss, your hand is scratched. Do you want to wash it?" When Migu heard this, he raised his eyebrows, tilted his head, and looked at Huang Ling's hand. Her left palm was really scratched. Huang Ling smiled at the doctor. "Okay." The doctor took out the disinfectant and helped her wash her wound. "It's a minor injury. Don't let it come into contact with water before it scabs." "Okay, thank you." Huang Ling thanked him politely and then went to Song Wuyo. She looked at Song Wuyo with heartache. "Wuyo, is it still so painful?" Song Wuyo looked at her with a smile. "It's not so painful anymore. Huang Ling, this pain is really nothing to me." Chapter 725. Is it because you've been injured countless times in the war and got used to the pain? Huang Ling asked in a choked voice. Migu's eyes darkened when he heard that. He took a deep look at Song Wuyo. Gu Yanhao's heart ached for her. He hugged her and kissed her pale face from time to time. Song Wuyo nodded at Huang Ling and smiled. "You can say that. Silly woman." Huang Ling wanted to cry, but she couldn't. It was as if she was holding it in. "If something like this happened today, I will definitely not let the other party off," Migu suddenly said fiercely. Gu Yanhao's eyes turned cold when he heard that. Not only would Migu not let the other party off, but he would also not let the other party off. It's still very chaotic outside. As the president, you should go out and comfort the people. Let them know that you're safe and sound, Gu Yanhao said. Okay, I'll send someone to send you back, Migu thought for a moment and said. After sending someone to Gu Yanhao and Song Wuyo left the Dragon Palace, Migu came out and reported to them that they were safe. He also promised that he would not let the other party get away with it. They were very concerned about Song Wuyo's situation. Migu told them that Song Wuyo was fine, but her leg was injured. But the bullet had been removed, and it was removed without anesthesia. In front of the entire country, he praised Song Wuyo for being in good spirits. He praised her for being very noble for enduring so much pain for the sake of her child. Huang Ling did not leave. She stood in the front row and watched him express what he wanted to say to everyone in a loud and clear voice. He was so noble, so elegant, and so full of deterrence. His appearance, his temperament, and his ability were not inferior to Gu Yanhao's. Huang Ling felt that this man was really manly and handsome for a moment. Thinking about how he would announce that she would be his wife in a while, Huang Ling was very nervous. But, after Migu finished his speech, under the escort of the guards, he walked down the stairs to shake hands with the high officials and foreign ambassadors below. Until the end of the ceremony, Migu did not announce to anyone that he was going to get married. Then, the sky turned dark, and everyone went home. Huang Ling was also in the Dragon Palace. She waited until it was dark. Migu had just assumed the role of president and was very, very busy. He had almost no time to care about Huang Ling. After the crowd dispersed, she also went back. When she left, she was very disappointed, very disappointed. Marriage, this was a major event in their lives. Both of them didn't like each other. Why did they think of getting married? Migu restrained himself from keeping a distance from Song Wuyo. But Huang Ling could still feel that he was very worried about her. She was willing to bet that even if they were married, if one day she and Song Wuyo fell into the water, he would definitely save Song Wuyo immediately. Sigh, how sad. Back home, Huang Ling acted as if nothing had happened. She went to work on time and got off work. When she had time at work, she texted Song Woo-yo on WeChat and asked how her injury was. Just like that, 2 days passed. She was going to change shifts today. It was a night shift, so she didn't have to go to work during the day. She would sleep at home for a day and go to work at night. After getting enough sleep last night, Hwang Ling couldn't sleep during the day. She was prepared to go to Woo-yo's manor to see Song Woo-yo. Just as she was about to leave, she received a call from Migu. Hwang Ling, bring the household register and wait for me at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I'm in an international meeting. It'll end in 20 minutes. After the meeting ends, I'll rush over and settle the procedures. Hwang Ling thought that Migu had forgotten about the marriage. She didn't expect him to take the initiative to call. She was stunned and hesitated for a moment. At this moment, she thought about a lot of things. Finally, she nodded and said, "Okay, I'll wait for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau." Chapter 726. About 40 minutes later, Hwang Ling appeared in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. In her bag, there was Hwang Ling's identity card and household register. She stood under a tree in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. She looked at pairs of people entering and exiting the Civil Affairs Bureau. Some of them were holding hands, some were walking in tandem, and some were arguing. Hwang Ling thought that those who were holding hands and loving each other were here to get married. Those who were arguing should be getting a divorce. She wondered if there would be a day when she and Migu would get a divorce certificate after getting their marriage certificate. She stood there and waited for about 10 minutes. She was very patient and did not even call to ask if Migu had arrived. 10 minutes later, a black Land Rover came from afar and drove towards them. Hwang Ling recognized that it was Migu's car. When Hwang Ling saw his car, she walked out from under the tree. She stood by the roadside and waited for him. Migu should have seen her too. The car stopped in front of her. There was a parking space here. Migu, who was wearing a white suit, got out of the car. Hwang Ling smiled at him. Migu smiled gently. "Have you been here for a long time?" "No, I've only waited for a few minutes." "Let's go in. I've already informed the people inside. There's no need to queue." "Okay." Then, Hwang Ling walked in front and Migu followed behind. One in front and one in back, they walked towards the Civil Affairs Bureau. At this moment, there was a ringtone behind them, followed by Migu's cold voice. "Okay, lock her up first. I'll go back and interrogate her personally." Hearing this, Hwang Ling guessed that they must have caught the culprit who hurt Song Woo-yo. Just as the call ended, there was another call. "What?" This time, Migu stopped. He did not look good. Hwang Ling was shocked by his nervous tone and quickly turned around. Seeing that he did not look good, she frowned slightly. "Did something happen?" "Which hospital?" "Okay, I got it. I'll be there right away." After hanging up the phone, Migu hurriedly turned around. Hwang Ling panicked and called out to him, "Migu." Migu's footsteps were hurried, and he didn't look back. Instead, he walked quickly to his Land Rover and said, "Woo-yo is hospitalized because her wound is infected and she has a high fever." By the time he finished speaking, he had already walked to the front of the car. He opened the door and got into the car. Without even asking Hwang Ling if she wanted to go see Song Woo-yo, the car sped off into the distance. As she watched the car disappear from her sight, Hwang Ling's heart dropped to the bottom of the valley in an instant. What was going on? They had already arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau and greeted the people inside. In the end, because Woo-yo had a high fever, he abandoned her and left. Woo-yo had a high fever. Didn't she have Gu Yenhao by her side? Was Migu's reaction really good? Hwang Ling stood there in a daze. Her mind went blank for a moment. Magoo, oh, Magoo. Didn't we agree to respect each other? Ha! Huang Ling suddenly laughed bitterly. Forget it. Don't lie to yourself anymore. She didn't even like him. Why did she marry him? But why did her heart hurt so much? It was very, very heavy. Tears flowed out of her eyes uncontrollably and rolled in her eyes. He was the president. She had overestimated herself by agreeing to marry him. Huang Ling lowered her head bitterly and looked at herself. With her temperament and looks, was she worthy of being his wife? She clearly knew that she was not worthy, but she still agreed to marry him. She had clearly said that she didn't like him, but after being abandoned by him, her heart felt so heavy. Snow started to float in the sky. Huang Ling dragged her heavy steps and left the Civil Affairs Bureau. Chapter 727. The snow in the sky was getting bigger and bigger. Soon, her hair and coat were wet. Judging from the weather this morning, it seemed pretty good. But at this time, it became gloomy. There was no sunlight in winter, so it was very cold. It started to snow again. This snow was colder than snow, just like frost, although the wind was not strong. The wind that blew was like the sharp tip of a knife, slicing across her face. It was very painful, very painful. Huang Ling felt as if there were several cuts on her face, and the pain spread all over her body. Even she did not know why it was like this. She obviously did not like Magoo, and she also knew that Magoo only had Song Wuyo in his heart. But what happened today made her feel very heavy. It was like she had been walking in a damp black hole, and she always felt that she could not reach the end. She, who was in extreme despair, finally saw a ray of light in front of her. There was even a voice that said to her, "Walk faster. See the light in front of you. When you reach there, you don't have to walk in this black hole anymore." Then, she kept walking, stumbling, falling, and getting up again. She walked to the light with great difficulty, but the light suddenly disappeared. And what awaited her was still endless darkness. Her love was a sea of darkness. Huang Ling, oh Huang Ling, of all people, why did you have to like Gu Yanhao? Look at Gu Yanhao, the man of the hour in M City. Even the president has to give in to him. What right do you have to like such a good man? What do you know? He has a good figure and looks for you, but you don't use them well. You wear heavy makeup and non-mainstream clothes. Looking around, how many rich ladies wear non-mainstream clothes? You don't even know how to match them. Not only are you not classy, but you are also old-fashioned. You don't have a good personality, you don't have any education, you don't have any skills. Other than being good at fighting for attention, you don't know how to take care of your body. Spicy tofu, spicy crayfish, wine, biscuits, you stuff them all into your mouth. You can't get Gu Yanhao, but you still want to be with Magoo. What a joke. The snow was getting bigger and bigger. Huang Ling's coat was almost wet. His short hair was dripping with water droplets. He was so cold that his lips had turned purple. She shivered and her teeth chattered. So cold, or perhaps it was because it was too cold, causing her distant thoughts to come back to her. Only then did he realize that she had walked far away from the Civil Affairs Bureau along the road. It was freezing. She rubbed her hands together and stood looking back. She drove here. How could she walk back like this? Stupid, he must be stupid. She walked back. Thinking that Song Wuyo had a high fever, she was anxious and wanted to go to the hospital to see her. She quickened her pace and walked back. Suddenly, her chest felt stuffy and she couldn't breathe. Before she could think about it, she fainted on the side of the road. People passed by in groups of 3 and 5. They saw a young woman who had fainted and was completely drenched. Her lips and face were both purple. Some of them were slow to react because they had encountered a dead person and quickly ran away. A few of them were curious and surrounded her. Did he faint from the cold? Her face and lips are all black. Did he suddenly have a heart attack? They were discussing, but no one dared to go up and carry Huang Ling. At this moment, a Hummer stopped at the side of the road. A tall man got out of the car. Under the shocked gaze of the crowd, he carried Huang Ling and walked forward quickly. Chapter 728. Song Wuyo's high fever was caused by an infection in her wound. She was sent to the hospital and cooled down physically. After a whole morning, her fever finally subsided. When Migu rushed over, Song Wuyo was in the ward receiving physical cooling from the doctor. Gu Yanhao was waiting outside the ward. When he saw him rushing over, Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows and a strange look flashed past his eyes. He looked at Migu coldly. Didn't you go to get your marriage certificate with Huang Ling? Why are you here? Migu did not answer Gu Yanhao directly. Instead, he asked anxiously, "Where's Wuyo? Is she okay?" When Gu Yanhao heard that, his eyes deepened as he stared at Migu lightly. Your concern for Wuyo seems to be too much. When Migu heard that, his chest tightened. Gu Yanhao continued, You're the president now. You'll be watched no matter what you do. Do you want those gossip reporters to write that you're worried about my woman? Gu Yanhao deliberately emphasized the words, my woman, hoping that Migu would understand that Song Wuyo was his and would be his for the rest of her life. Migu's face darkened as he said lightly, I'm just worried about her. Even if you're worried about her, you have to know your limits. If others write nonsense about her, she'll be in a difficult position. Also, since you've chosen to marry Huang Ling, you have to respect her. After all, the woman who will accompany you for the rest of your life is your own wife, not someone else's wife. When Migu heard that, his eyes narrowed slightly and his gaze deepened. Gu Yanhao stared at Migu. I understand that you're concerned about your friend, but if you're too concerned, you'll end up making a fool of yourself. Besides, today is the day you and Huang Ling are going to get married. She didn't come with you. Did you leave her at the Civil Affairs Bureau? Hearing this, Migu's eyes flashed with a strange light. If Gu Yanhao hadn't mentioned it, he would have forgotten that he had indeed left Huang Ling at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Migu glanced at Gu Yanhao and faintly said, the Civil Affairs Bureau is not far from her apartment. She will go back. Gu Yanhao sneered, even if you throw her abroad, I think she will come back. But you're hurting her by doing this. Also, I'm not happy that you're so worried about my wife. Gu Yanhao turned around with his back facing Migu. When Migu couldn't see him, his expression was extremely gloomy. I know that you have deep feelings for noble consort Song, but that's all in the Axe dynasty. Now, Wuyo was Mrs. Gu, not noble consort Song. Although she has the memories of her previous life, her figure and appearance are my wife, Song Wuyo. I hope you can understand this, and I also hope you can understand that in this life, you are only Migu, and she can only be my wife. I can't care about the next life. I don't have the right or the power to care about the next life. If you two are fated to be husband and wife in the next life, I will be happy for you now. But in this life, she and I are husband and wife. No one can separate us. Migu's eyes were deep, like the bottom of a bottomless well. He looked at Gu Yanhao's back with a complicated expression. I understand. The doctor is lowering Wuyo's temperature physically. Fortunately, the wound is not seriously infected. The doctor has already treated it for her. She's fine. Migu didn't say anything. He stood there silently, waiting for the doctor to come out. The doctor came out and told them that Song Wuyo's temperature had dropped. But she had to be hospitalized. If she had a high fever at night, they had to lower her temperature physically. When Gu Yanhao and Migu came in, Song Wuyo was sitting on the hospital bed, drinking the warm water that the nurse had poured for her. Chapter 729. The doctor prescribed her an infusion that had no effect on the fetus. It had the effect of clearing heat and detoxifying it, as well as lowering the temperature. After the fever subsided, Song Wuyo's complexion returned to normal and was not as red as before. Migu was relieved to see that Song Wuyo was fine. Thinking that he had caught the remnants of Qing Jianxin, he did not stay in the ward for long and left. Gu Yanhao sat in front of the hospital bed with a gloomy face. Song Wuyo looked at him in confusion. Is my injury serious? Or did I have a serious illness? Gu Yanhao glared at her. Don't talk nonsense. Then why do you look so gloomy? There should be Migu's spies in the manor. Are you talking about our manor? Yes. Why do you say that? I didn't tell him that you had a fever. Aude didn't tell him either. How did he know? It's okay if he knows. What was there to be unhappy about? Gu Yanhao looked at her directly. Today, he is going to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Huang Ling to get a marriage certificate. What? Song Wuyo was shocked and looked at Gu Yanhao in astonishment. They are going to get married. Huang Ling did not tell her, and Migu did not tell her either. She did not know. Yes. Compared to Song Wuyo's astonishment, Gu Yanhao's face was gloomy. I'm confused. You'd better tell me the ins and outs of the matter. Song Wuyo said. Gu Yanhao looked into Song Wuyo's eyes. Migu and Huang Ling went to get married. After Migu received the news that you had a high fever and was sent to the hospital at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he left Huang Ling and rushed to the hospital to see you. When Song Wuyo heard this, a trace of surprise flashed through her beautiful eyes. She looked at Gu Yanhao and said, Does that mean that Huang Ling was hurt by Migu? Gu Yanhao's face darkened. I'm not sure. I think Huang Ling doesn't like Migu to the point where she would be sad. Song Wuyo pursed her lips. Of course. No one knows better than me that the person she likes the most is you. What about you? Gu Yanhao looked deeply at Song Wuyo. Do you know how Migu feels about you? Of course I know, but I never gave him any hope. But he can't seem to forget you. What he does to me, what he thinks, that's his business. However, since he has chosen Huang Ling, I hope that he can transfer this favor to Huang Ling. Gu Yanhao reached out and touched her forehead to check her temperature. Her fever had really subsided. Do you have an appetite? Gu Yanhao asked. Plain porridge. Song Wuyo picked up her cell phone from the bedside table. I'll give Huang Ling a call and ask her what's going on. She didn't even tell me about her marriage with Migu. It's such a big thing. Huang Ling's cell phone went through, but she recorded a notification. I'm sleeping now. Call me again at night when it's time for work. Hearing this notification, Song Wuyo then remembered that Huang Ling had said that she would be working the night shift today. She could only call her again at night. Huang Ling felt that her body was warm and very comfortable. Her lower body, her upper body, and her surroundings were soft and smooth to the touch. She opened her eyes abruptly. She realized that she was in an unfamiliar room. Startled, she sat up abruptly in bed. What was going on? Her room didn't look like this. She remembered that she had fainted by the roadside. When she woke up, she was already here. Huang Ling had thought that a kind-hearted person had sent her to the hospital. However, the bed she was on was very big and very comfortable. The texture of the bedding was very good and very comfortable. This wasn't a hospital. Chapter 730. This was not a hospital. In a hospital, even if it was a ward, the air was filled with the smell of disinfectant. Now, what lingered in front of her nose was a masculine scent with a faint fragrance. The fragrance was very nice, but Huang Ling, who was inexperienced, didn't know what it was. Where was this? Huang Ling was dumbfounded again. She lowered her head and looked at herself. She was only wearing a set of purple thermal clothes. It was tight, and her figure was well defined. Huang Ling's figure was not bad. She was tall, had a good chest, and a perky butt. She was just a little thin. If there was more meat on each part of his body, he would definitely give off a different feeling. At the very least, it felt good to the touch. This was not her home, the hospital, or Wuyo's manor. Could it be that she was saved by a kind-hearted person? However, a kind-hearted person should not have brought her home or a hotel when she was unconscious. He should have sent her to the hospital for treatment. Could it be that she met a big bad guy and was raped? With this thought in mind, Huang Ling suddenly screamed, "Ah!" Before the scream stopped, the bedroom door was suddenly pushed open. A tall and slender figure strode in. Seeing who it was, Huang Ling was shocked. Her eyes and mouth widened. How could it be you? Maupassant, who was wearing beige casual pants and a dark brown British-style coat, narrowed his eyes and asked casually, "Why can't it be me?" His brown eyes and deep silhouette were very eye-catching. He was a very handsome Frenchman. He was tall, slender, and straight. He exuded a different aura when he was in military uniform, and he exuded a different aura when he was not in military uniform. His deep-set eyes, high nose bridge, and resolute facial lines seemed to have been carved out by a divine knife. Huang Ling felt that his tone was frivolous and devilish when he said the words "Why can't it be me?" with a nonchalant expression. However, the quality of his voice was very pleasant to the ears. It was low, mellow, and carried a hint of magnetism. In the hearts of those who heard it, it was like a slender hand gently stroking their heartstrings, causing their hearts to throb uncontrollably. "You lecher. You saved me, but you still have to take advantage of me. You are taking advantage of me. You look so talented, but your heart is so despicable and shameless." When Huang Ling thought of this man helping her change her clothes, his hands touched her whole body, she became angry. When Imo Bosun heard this, a trace of surprise flashed through his deep brown eyes. How could she misunderstand him? He, interesting. Maupassant looked at Huang Ling with interest. "You're hotter than I thought." "Of course, I've loved eating chili since I was young." Huang Ling jumped up from the bed and glared at Maupassant. "If it weren't for the fact that you saved me, I would have sent you flying with a kick." If he wanted to save her, why didn't he send her to the hospital? Even if her clothes were wet, there were nurses in the hospital who would help her change. Why did he have to do it himself? Maupassant looked at her with interest. "You think you can send me flying with a kick?" Huang Ling looked left and right to look for her clothes and said angrily, "I'm small but strong." Maupassant smiled. "With such strength, how could you not be able to resist the cold? This is the first time I've heard of someone fainting from the cold." Huang Ling looked at him angrily. "There are many things that you haven't heard of. Some people even froze to death. Have you heard of it? Speaking of which, where are my clothes?" Then Maupassant pointed to the balcony of the bedroom. Chapter 731. Huang Ling looked in the direction of his index finger. Sure enough, her clothes were hung on the bamboo rack on the balcony. Huang Ling walked over in big strides. She wanted to put on her clothes and get lost. But my underwear. Huang Ling saw her underwear hanging with her jacket, pants, and long johns. She lifted her hands and covered her chest. She did not have a bra. She was wearing a bra. Suddenly, Huang Ling's face changed. She turned around and looked at Maupassant. You bastard! I want to strangle you. She clenched her fists. Ah! Maupassant had spent most of his life in the military. His unit was the Special Forces, and there were no female soldiers in the high-risk training. That's why he seldom interacted with women. But he had never met a woman who would be so frustrated in front of him. Even Li Xin, whom he was interested in, was the hot and charming type. But this woman in front of him was more interesting. Maupassant looked at her and laughed. You are clenching your fists. How are you going to strangle me? Also, what did I do wrong? Why do you want to strangle me? She still called him a bastard. You. Huang Ling was furious. She could not get married to Migu and was even molested by this man. She felt that today was the darkest day of her life. She stomped her feet and said angrily, I am so unlucky. Mo Policen crossed his arms in front of his chest and smirked. He looked at her with amusement. You're unlucky after being saved by me. If I didn't find your back familiar and followed you for a while, I'm afraid you would have frozen to death by now. You followed me for a while. You. Mo what? Huang Ling could not remember the name of this foreigner. Maupassant. Maupassant told her. Maupassant, why did you follow me? Do you have any designs on me? Huang Ling pointed at Mo Bo and asked coldly. When Maupassant heard this, he laughed twice. His laughter was quite pleasant to hear. Interesting woman, you didn't hear me clearly. I felt that your back was somewhat familiar, and you were walking on the side of the road like a zombie on a cold day. I wanted to see if you were someone I was familiar with, so I followed you for a while. I wasn't following you. You're the zombie. I saved you, but instead of being grateful, you want to take revenge. You saved me. My chastity is gone, I don't need you to save me. Huang Ling's eyes were filled with killing intent as she stared at Maupassant's slender hands. I really want to chop off your perverted hands. Don't you know that chastity is very important to a girl? You actually dared to strip me naked while I was unconscious. You didn't even leave behind any undergarments. You even helped me put it on. Just the thought of your hands on my chest makes me want to do evil. Usually, after she put on her underwear, she would rub it so that these two lumps of meat would be comfortably covered under her bra. Therefore, she also thought that Maupassant would help her take off her underwear. When she put on her underwear, he would also rub these two lumps of meat. Even if he didn't rub it, when he took it off and put it on, he would still touch her two lumps of meat, right? Just thinking about that scene, Huang Ling wanted to die. God, why not just let her freeze to death on the side of the road, anyway? There was not much fun for her to live now. Ha! Ha! Hearing what she said, Maupassant could not help but laugh loudly. His gaze involuntarily moved to Huang Ling's chest. Chapter 732. He wondered what it would feel like to rub it all over. Looking at his gaze shifting to her chest, Huang Ling was so angry that her face flushed red. Maupassant, you're good. She knew that she could not win against him. Furthermore, this was his territory and she could not do anything to him. She could only point at him fiercely and glare at him furiously for 2 seconds before turning around and walking to the balcony. She wanted to go to the balcony to collect her jacket. This tight thermal underwear was way too tight. Just as she was about to touch her jacket, a middle-aged woman's voice came from the bedroom door. Sir, the meal is ready. Also, I've bought the clothes for that lady. They're in the living room. Do you want me to bring them in for her? The moment she heard the woman's words, Huang Ling was stunned. She turned around hurriedly and looked at the woman. No need. She's already awake. You can get off work now, Maupassant said to the woman. All right. After the woman left, Huang Ling stood there in a daze for a long time. Her mouth was slightly agape as she looked at Maupassant. This. She, looking at her rich expression, Maupassant was in a good mood. He placed one hand in his trouser pocket and smiled. She's a helper that I hired. When I carried you back, your clothes were all soaked. It was this auntie who helped you take them off and put them on. It wasn't you. Huang Ling exclaimed. Maupassant curled his lips. Look at your reaction. Did you want it to be me or not? Ah. The moment Huang Ling heard that it was not him, she heaved a sigh of relief. She patted her chest gently and took a few deep breaths before smiling. You scared me to death. I thought you had seen my naked body. Even if I did, it's nothing, Maupassant replied. You're not my hubby. Of course, you can't see everything. Huang Ling looked at Maupassant in disdain. In this aspect, I'm very conservative. Unlike your country, which is so romantic and open-minded. Maupassant looked at her chest. If I had known, I would have tried rubbing it. You, Huang Ling crossed her arms again and glared at Maupassant, you're despicable, shameless, and despicable. Maupassant raised his eyebrows. If I am despicable, I would have eaten you up long ago. My jacket is still wet. Do you have a jacket? Give me one. Sigh, it's so cold. Maupassant smiled and went to the wardrobe. He took out a pure beige coat and threw it to her. Put it on. Auntie has already made dinner. I suggest you eat before you go back. Oh. Huang Ling put on her coat and asked, did I sleep for a long time? Not long, not even 3 hours. 3 hours, Huang Ling glanced at her bag on the bedside table. After putting on her coat, she came over and took out her phone from her bag. There was no call. Maupassant looked at her. His jacket was very long, and when she wore it, she looked like she was wearing a casual and fashionable jacket. He saw a look of disappointment on her face and laughed. I received a scam call, so I helped you design the caller ID. It's quite interesting to imitate your voice. Scam call. Huang Ling raised her head and looked at Maupassant. Did you get scammed? Maupassant laughed. I'm not a fool. Huang Ling pursed her lips and sounded disappointed. I'm hungry. Let's go and eat. Even if he had designed the caller ID, he could still send her a message or WeChat. 3 hours had passed, and Migu did not send a single message or WeChat message. Chapter 733. Maupassant caught a fleeting look of disappointment on her face. He smiled and asked, are you unhappy because your boyfriend didn't send you a message? It's none of your business. Don't ask so many questions. Huang Ling slammed her phone on the counter and glared at Maupassant. I'm so hungry. I want to eat. Maupassant looked at her with a faint smile. His mother was from Country L. The skin color of Country L and Country K was the same. His father was French and he was of mixed blood. His mother was very gentle and her friends were also very dignified. This was the first time he had met such a boorish woman with a shrewish personality. He still remembered clearly the first time he met her. She was clearly crying her heart out as she pointed at Song Wuyo and asked who she was. The next second, she was sitting with Song Wuyo and talking to him fiercely. And now, she was being fierce to him again. Maupassant touched his high nose bridge and smiled handsomely. He was the one who saved her, okay? Walking out of the bedroom and into the living room, Huang Ling sized up the house she was in. This was a suite with 2 bedrooms and a living room. The room she had just woken up in was obviously the master room. There was a separate bathroom and washroom inside. The living room wasn't very big, but the furnishings were simple and neat, giving off a very elegant feeling. There was a balcony in front of the living room and a round dining table was placed on the balcony. Other than the dining table, there were some bonsai plants. The decoration of this house was simple and not luxurious in the European style. The main color was pure white and the lighting was good. Huang Ling followed Maupassant to the dining table on the balcony. From here, she could see the scenery outside. This was a famous neighborhood in M City. The neighborhood had a beautiful environment. There was a lotus pond, an arch bridge, rockery. The greenery was done well. Standing on the balcony, she could see the lotus pond downstairs. The pond water was crystal clear. Lotus leaves floated in the middle of the pond. They were cultivated artificially. In summer and winter, the lotus leaves were very green. There were some goldfish swimming around the pond and there were all kinds of green trees around the pond. After observing her surroundings, Huang Ling retracted her gaze and looked down at the dishes on the table. Spicy crayfish, Peking duck, braised crab with garlic, barbecued squab, chicken tenderloin, mapo tofu, a pot of ginger soup, and a serving of soybean sprouts. These dishes looked good and tasted good. It would not be an exaggeration to say that they were perfect in color, aroma, and taste. Just by smelling it, Huang Ling's stomach was growling. She gulped and glanced at Maupassant's abdomen. Although this man was tall and big, could he finish so many dishes? You want to eat so much. She raised her eyes and looked at Maupassant strangely. Maupassant looked at her with a smile in his eyes. Aren't you eating too? I mean, do you usually eat like this? Cut down on a few dishes. Oh, I'm here. So you made a few more dishes? Maupassant nodded his head. You can say that. His slender fingers knocked on the side of the bowl of ginger soup gently. This ginger soup is specially made for you. It's good that you're awake. Drink it while it's hot. Drink a few more bowls to dispel the cold. Drink until you're hot and sweat, and the cold will come out. Otherwise, it won't be good if you fall sick. When Huang Ling heard that, she felt a warmth in her heart. She looked at Maupassant and murmured, if I don't dispel the cold, what kind of illness will I fall sick with? Cold uterus, causing menstrual cramps, infertility, weak body, and easy to catch a cold. Maupassant said calmly. Chapter 734. I'll drink it. When Huang Ling heard this, she was like a frightened child. She quickly sat down and poured herself a bowl of ginger soup without any hesitation. Cold womb, painful menstrual cycle, infertility, weak body. This was a woman's destiny. Huang Ling took a big gulp of the soup. Ah, it's hot, it's spicy. Her tongue was scalded when she drank the freshly made soup. She stuck out her tongue and exhaled. She looked very cute. It could be said that this was the first time a woman stuck out her tongue in front of Maupassant. His scalded tongue was tender, pink, and glossy. For a moment, Maupassant was stunned. In his mind, he could not help but think of an ambiguous scene. A passionate kiss. He stared fixedly at Huang Ling and pulled out a chair beside her to sit down. Huang Ling did not drink the soup in big gulps. Instead, she took a spoon and drank the soup one mouthful at a time. There was no brown sugar in the ginger soup, but it was delicious. There was a strong aroma of chicken. Maupassant also filled a bowl for himself. His movements were elegant as he drank the soup slowly. He sat beside her. The aroma of the dishes on the table could not overpower the faint fragrance of his body. It was as if his scent lingered around her and could not dissipate. Huang Ling stopped drinking the soup for a few seconds. She looked at the soup in his bowl and asked, "You're also afraid of cold womb, painful menstrual cycle, and infertility?" Maupassant almost burst out laughing. He looked at Huang Ling with a smile. "Can you not ask me such a funny question when I'm eating and drinking? Do you think only women can drink ginger soup? Strong men like us can't drink it." "No." Huang Ling shook her head. "Drink it to warm up," Maupassant said. "Okay." Huang Ling drank a bowl of soup and felt warm in her stomach. The temperature of the bowl of ginger soup warmed her whole body. After finishing the bowl, Huang Ling didn't continue drinking. Instead, she sat there and rested for a while. Only when her stomach wasn't so full did she start eating. Eat the crayfish and this pigeon. Jump in the chicken is good for your health. You are too delicate. Maupassant moved the chicken and pigeon to Huang Ling. "This table is not big. I can reach it. You don't have to move it." Huang Ling smiled. Maupassant was too polite to her. From his words, she could tell that he was usually a considerate person. "I'm not worried that you won't be able to get it. I'm just worried that you'll be shy and won't dare to eat freely in front of me." When Huang Ling heard this, she suddenly smiled. "Do I look like a shy person to you?" Maupassant tilted his head and looked at her deeply. "Just now, you mistook me for helping you change your clothes. You were so shy that you looked like you were about to cry." At the mention of this, Huang Ling felt embarrassed again. She lowered her head and muttered, "How can that kind of thing be compared to eating?" Maupassant chuckled softly. "Since they can't be compared, let's eat. I like crayfish." Huang Ling smiled sweetly at Maupassant. Then, she picked up the crayfish with her hands and ate it. Maupassant looked at her. Her smile was like a blooming lily, pure and beautiful. Her face without makeup had a pale beauty, but her skin was ice cold. "This is the first time I've seen such a beautiful smile," Maupassant said softly as his gaze wandered over Huang Ling's face. When Huang Ling heard that, she stopped eating the crayfish and raised her head to look at him in surprise. "Are you talking about me?" Chapter 735. "Other than you and me, is there anyone else here?" Maupassant laughed. "Ha ha ha." When Huang Ling heard that, she laughed rudely. She touched Maupassant's face with her finger that was stained with oil. "You are the first person to say that I look good when I smile. I will remember you." Maupassant was a person who loved cleanliness. When he was training, he would roll in the mud and eat raw animal meat. But when he was at home, he was a person who loved cleanliness. His clothes had to be clean and his face had to be clean. Now, when Huang Ling touched his handsome face with her finger that was stained with oil, he was not angry at all. He glanced at her fingers, smiled, and asked, "How old are you?" 22. The original owner's identity card showed that she was 22 this year. Including the females, no one said that you look good when you smile. Huang Ling was stunned. She tried to recall and shook her head. "No, I am the kind of person who does not have any friends. I don't have any male or female friends." Huang Ling looked at Maupassant. She blinked and asked playfully, "Do you know what I am called?" Maupassant shook his head. "No." "Insulator." After that, Huang Ling chuckled. "Idiot." Maupassant raised his eyebrows. "You are not friends with Gu Yanhao's wife?" Huang Ling pursed her lips. "I just got to know her recently and became friends with her. But she is devastatingly beautiful. Why does she think that I look good when I smile?" This crayfish is really fucking delicious. I like to eat it, but I don't know how to make it. I let my mom make it. My mom has never made crayfish before. Now that I have the financial ability to buy crayfish for her, she can't make it taste this good. The smile in Maboson's eyes deepened. If it's delicious, eat it all. I don't even know how many crayfish and lobsters I've eaten. Huang Ling propped her head up and looked at Maupassant for a few seconds before giggling. Then I won't stand on ceremony. I've never liked polite friends. You have to learn from Gu Yanhao. I've saved his wife twice, but he didn't treat me to a meal. It's more interesting to make friends with such impolite friends. Oh, he is such a person. He has a cold personality and looks cold on the surface, but if you are in trouble, he will help you. Also, he cares a lot about his wife and is afraid that you will seduce his wife. Huang Ling smiled at Maupassant. She smiled, and her eyes narrowed into curved lines. It was very sweet. Maupassant asked with interest, "You seem to know Gu Yanhao very well." Huang Ling's eyes narrowed, and her heart sank slightly. She knew him very well. She didn't know how well she knew him. To hide her emotions, Huang Ling lowered her head and kept eating the crayfish. I don't know him well. I only heard about him from his wife. Maupassant did not say anything and continued to drink his soup elegantly. Huang Ling did not stand on ceremony. She finished the entire plate of crayfish. After the crayfish, she started to eat the Peking duck. The taste was not bad. The meat was tender and smooth, especially the skin. It was delicious. There were also soybean sprouts. It was such an ordinary dish, but the hourly worker made it so delicious. Huang Ling was starving. She had a bowl of porridge before she left the house, and she had not eaten anything since she fainted. Also, the weather was cold, and she was hungry quickly. Now that there were so many delicious dishes, she did not care about her image. Chapter 736. Damn it, she had none of those qualities of a lady or elegance. For now, she had to fill her stomach first. Maupassant looked at her eating and suddenly felt that watching her eat was a form of appreciation. She ate quickly, but she looked good when she ate. Her actions were bold but not rude. Soon, a girl would pretend to be gentle in front of a man to disguise her image. Especially when eating, her actions had to be gentle and she had to pretend to be gentle. She would say that she was full after eating a little. However, the woman in front of him was different. She ate so freely that he saw her in a new light. He scooped half a bowl of ginger soup for her and placed it beside her gently. Don't just focus on the meat. You have to drink the soup too. Okay. Huang Ling's mouth was full of oil. Maupassant picked up his chopsticks, put a piece of fried dumpling into his mouth and chewed slowly. His dark eyes were smiling as he looked at Huang Ling with interest. It seemed that watching her eat was more enjoyable than him eating. Finally, Huang Ling finished all the dishes. There was not much left. Maupassant, on the other hand, had not eaten more than 10 mouthfuls of food. Drink the soup. Maupassant pushed the bowl of soup. Ah! Huang Ling put her hands on her waist. Her neck shrank and her shoulders drooped. She looked at Maupassant pitifully. I'm so full that I don't want to move anymore. What should I do? There's a cold dish missing. Maupassant shrugged. You can only sit here and wait until you're full. As he spoke, he took out a napkin and handed it to Huang Ling. Huang Ling looked down at the napkin. Sigh, I don't even have the strength to wipe my mouth. Just leave it there. Do you want me to wipe it for you? Maupassant asked. No. When Huang Ling heard that, she immediately perked up. She took the napkin and wiped her mouth a few times. As the crayfish was spicy and she drank the spicy ginger soup, her lips looked especially red after there were no oil stains. It was a little swollen from the spiciness. It was very plump and tempting. Maupassant looked at her lips and frowned. So evil, so evil. At this moment, he actually had the thought of kissing her. Maupassant suddenly retracted his gaze and looked at the plates and bowls on the table. He chuckled. You can eat so much. Huang Ling felt a little embarrassed. I'm a foodie. Insulator, foodie, does this kind of woman have a unique personality? Personality. So much so that people say you have no personality. Personality. These words were quite interesting. Maupassant curled his lips and looked at her. Do you want me to carry you to the sofa? No, no. Huang Ling hurriedly waved her hands. I can do it myself. With that, Huang Ling stood up. His coat looked good on her. Maupassant, take a look at the clothes Auntie bought for you. Do they fit you? Huang Ling crossed her arms and slowly walked into the living room like a pregnant woman. She twisted her body that was too full. There was a shopping bag on the sofa in the living room. Huang Ling did not even look at it. She took the shopping bag and went straight into the bathroom. Maupassant raised his eyebrows and looked at her back view. She was so conservative. Why would she lock the door in the bathroom? After a while, she came out of the bathroom. The hourly helper bought her a thick, fashionable coat. She did not even need to go into the bathroom to change. She took it out of the shopping bag and put it on. The light yellow coat matched Huang Ling's skin very well. It was fashionable and stylish. Mo Bosun walked in and sized her up. His sexy lips curled up and he said in a gentle voice, "Not bad, it matches your temperament very well." Chapter 737. Huang Ling felt that this was the biggest joke she had ever heard. She laughed at herself. Do I have a temperament? A country bumpkin temperament or a ruffian temperament? Maupassant raised his eyebrows and narrowed his eyes slightly, as though he did not like Huang Ling's behavior. He stared at her. Can't you be more confident? I've always had high standards for women and I'm very picky. If I say you're good, then you're good. If I say you have a temperament, then you have a temperament. Be more confident. A confident woman is beautiful. TSK, Huang Ling scoffed and glanced at Maupassant coldly. Do you think I don't know how picky you are? You even like a woman like Li Xinxin. She's not good. Maupassant raised his eyebrows. Seems like you don't know her at all. You know her very well. I don't know her well, but given how much the people of K country hate her, I don't think she's a good person. No, she's not a good person to begin with. She kills for no reason and her hands are stained with the blood of countless people. She has a fiery temper and is incomparably arrogant. That day, I accidentally knocked over a bottle of wine and wet her sleeve a little. She then picked up the wine bottle and wanted to hit me. A young woman with such a fiery temper. If she's older, won't she be like a woman going through menopause? Huang Ling looked at Maupassant in disdain. TSK. You're not bad looking either. I believe that if you go upstairs and hook your finger, many women will follow you home. Why do you like a woman like Li Xinxin? When he heard that, Maupassant's face darkened and his gaze became extremely deep. He looked at Huang Ling intently with a gloomy expression. Huang Ling felt that the atmosphere was a little different. She looked at Maupassant carefully. Oh no, oh no. Could it be that she had angered him because she had said bad things about Li Xinxin? Huang Ling, oh, Huang Ling. No matter how much you dislike that Li Xinxin, you can't say bad things about her in front of the man who likes her, right? Indeed, one would not die if one did not seek death. Would he strangle her to death out of anger? Huang Ling looked at Maupassant timidly. Mr. M.O., Maupassant is my name, not my surname. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, Maupassant suddenly interrupted her coldly. Maupassant, I have to go to work tonight. I have to go home. Huang Ling thought that he would make things difficult for her, but Maupassant just looked at her indifferently. Yeah. When Huang Ling heard him say, her heart, which had been in her throat, finally let out a sigh of relief. Goodbye then. She waved her hand and hurriedly slipped out of the door. Maupassant's house was covered with wool blankets. Even when he walked around the house barefoot, he didn't feel cold at all. But when she walked out of the house and stepped on the cold tiles, she was so cold that she shivered. Oh my God, she lowered her head and realized that she had no shoes on her hands. What to do? The door was already closed. Huang Ling turned around and looked at the door that she had closed with a conflicted expression. Should she push the door open and take her shoes out? But when she thought of Maupassant's darkened expression, she was a little scared. If she went in again and his anger only increased, wouldn't she be dead? Forget it, forget it. She would take a taxi downstairs. It wouldn't be that cold anyway. Moreover, she had just eaten and her body was warm enough to resist the cold. With this thought, Huang Ling strode away. When she got into the taxi, she realized that her bag was with Maupassant. Inside were her identity card, mobile phone, and household register. Chapter 738. Huang Ling hesitated whether to turn back. Maupassant was angry now. When he was no longer angry, he would probably send the bag to her at the bar, right? After today's interaction, she felt that he was not a hypocrite. He was quite nice. She just didn't know if he would hit people when he was angry, so she decided not to go back. The taxi returned to her apartment. She used the driver's phone to call Lu Fengfeng and got the fare. Lu Fengfeng gave the driver the fare, and Huang Ling got out of the car. Seeing that Huang Ling was not wearing the clothes she wore when she went out, Lu Fengfeng was shocked. Huang Ling, what happened? When I went to Wuyo's place to learn how to cook beggar's chicken from Wuyo, I slipped and fell in the kitchen. The cooked chicken was under me and my clothes were dirty, so I changed into Wuyo's clothes. Huang Ling laughed. She really lied without blinking. She adjusted her clothes and stood barefoot on the ground. It was cold. Lu Fengfeng looked at her shivering and looked down. Where are your shoes? When I came back, I saw a couple arguing on the road. It was drizzling, and they were arguing. The man even took off his shoes and hit his girlfriend. The woman was angry and took off her shoes to hit him back. Seeing that she was barefoot and cold, I took off my shoes and put them on her. Anyway, I'm sitting in the car. I won't be cold. Sigh, I really don't understand that couple. They were fighting at a red light. Aren't they afraid of being hit by a car? Huang Ling's lies were reasonable and endless. Lu Fengfeng couldn't see any flaws. Hearing the red light, Lu Fengfeng thought of something. She looked at Huang Ling. You didn't drive there. No. Huang Ling shook her head. When I went downstairs, I realized that I didn't take my car keys. I didn't want to go back to get them, so I took a taxi to Wuyo's manor. Anyway, Lu Fengfeng wouldn't go to the garage to check if her Volkswagen was there. It's cold. Let's go back. Lu Fengfeng dragged Huang Ling into the building. What should I say about you? Why are you getting involved in a couple's fight? Are you shivering from the cold? I won't feel cold anymore after I soak my feet. Huang Ling smiled happily. Even if the whole world abandoned her and ostracized her, at least this mother would not abandon her. Back home, Lu Fengfeng prepared hot water for Huang Ling to soak her feet. "Do you want to eat?" Lu Fengfeng asked. "No need. I'll rest for an hour after soaking my feet and then go to the bar." "Didn't you transfer to the night shift? Why are you working so early?" "One of my colleagues is sick. She arranged for me and another colleague to take over her shift. That's why I came back so early. Otherwise, I would have wanted to play more at Wuyo Manor." Lu Fengfeng didn't say anything. She sat down next to Huang Ling and watched TV. It happened to be an international news story. The general content was about the presidents of more than 10 countries bringing their wives to visit a country. In order to let other countries understand the culture of their own country, the president's wife brought the madams of other countries to visit ancient buildings and try out local snacks, etc. The news wasn't long, but it covered a lot of information. She saw the president's wives of more than 10 countries in the camera. They were old, middle-aged, and young, but their temperaments were all noble. Their words and actions revealed a sense of nobility and elegance. Every frown, every smile, every word was so dignified, so generous, and so calm. After sitting thoughtfully for a while, Huang Ling suddenly smiled bitterly and said to herself in her heart, "You're overestimating yourself." Chapter 739. Seeing Huang Ling's strange smile, Lu Fengfeng frowned and looked at Huang Ling nervously. "Huang Ling, are you all right?" Huang Ling put on a serious face and looked at Lu Fengfeng. "What can happen to me? Why did you smile so bitterly just now?" "I was smiling. It's not easy to be Madam President. It's not for us outsiders to judge whether it's easy or not." Huang Ling smiled. "You're right." After soaking her feet, Huang Ling went back to her room. She lied to Lu Fengfeng that she wanted to rest, but in fact, she couldn't sleep. She hugged a pillow and sat on the windowsill, looking outside with a grave expression. Her building was not far from the road downstairs. As she sat on the windowsill, she could see the cars coming and going on the road downstairs. At the crossroads, the traffic seemed to be very complicated. Snow was still floating in the sky. It was so cold that it made people shiver. Huang Ling rested her chin on the pillow and thought about many things seriously. An hour later, she told Lu Fengfeng that she had to go to work. When she went downstairs, she called a taxi and went straight to the hospital. She knew Gu Yanhao too well. She knew that no matter if it was Gu Yanhao or Song Wuyo who was sick, he would go to the First People's Hospital for treatment. When she arrived at the First People's Hospital, she quickly found out the ward Song Wuyo was staying in from the nurse. When Huang Ling appeared at the corridor of the ward, she took a deep breath and adjusted her mood. If she bumped into Migu in Wuyu's ward later, she must act naturally. Song Wuyo didn't ask her about her marriage with Migu. She guessed that Migu didn't mention it to her. So, she couldn't let Wuyu see through her. When Huang Ling came in with some fruits and saw Song Wuyo sitting on the bed, she looked extremely sad and jogged over. "Wuyu, why are you running a high fever?" Upon seeing Huang Ling, Song Wuyo was startled for a moment before she was overjoyed. "You're finally here. When I called you, I set the tone again. I have to work the night shift. Don't disturb me." Huang Ling looked around the ward. Only Su Jing was there. Huang Ling was surprised. "Where's Gu Yanhao?" "There's an emergency at the company. I have to go back for a meeting. I should be working tonight." "Damn Housie, no matter how urgent the matter is, he can't leave you in the hospital. Is money more important than his wife?" Huang Ling said angrily. "It's also a waste of time for him to stay here with me. What's the point of staring at each other?" Moreover, I still have Su Jing and Mushin. Mu Axian just left, and Su Jing came again. I don't feel lonely here. Huang Ling pursed her lips and looked at Song Wuyo quietly. With the nurses and doctors taking care of me, I'm fine now. Song Wuyo looked deeply at Huang Ling. Huang Ling, I know everything. Huang Ling pretended not to understand and looked at Song Wuyo in confusion. Know what? About your marriage with Migu. Su Jing, who was peeling an apple, was shocked and looked at Huang Ling in shock. Huang Ling was going to marry Mr. Migu. Congratulations. When Huang Ling heard this, she pursed her lips and sighed. Sigh, so much pressure. Huang Ling, you have to give Musen some time. He won't be able to forget the woman in his heart for a while. Huang Ling nodded. I know. Actually, I don't like Migu either. I only agreed to marry him because I felt that he was very infatuated and pitied him. That's why I agreed to marry him. Song Wuyo believed these words. Because she still had the original owner's memories. She knew that Song Wuyo loved Gu Yanhao very much in the past. Chapter 740. Now that Huang Ling said that she did not like Migu, she felt that it was true. When he's done with his work, he will probably ask you to get a marriage certificate, Song Wuyo said as she looked at Huang Ling. I suddenly don't want to get married. Song Wuyo was surprised. Why? I don't even like him. How can I get married? Huang Ling, isn't the president good? Why don't you like him? Su Jing interrupted and asked. It's because he's too good. I don't want to get married. Firstly, he's too good. Secondly, I don't like him. Are you sure? I've thought it through. Let's put the marriage matter aside. When he's interested in me and I like him again, it won't be too late to get married. Moreover, he just took office and is busy. I believe that it won't be long before he'll be flying to other countries, Huang Ling said. That's true. The president is very busy. That was why she and Gu Yanhao did not want to be the president. Migu was single, so it did not matter if he flew to other countries. Moreover, Migu was very capable. He was not inferior to Gu Yanhao. How are you? Why is your wound suddenly infected? Is it serious? You don't need to amputate, right? Huang Ling asked Song Wuyo anxiously. When Song Wuyo heard this, she laughed. It's not that serious. It's just a slight infection. It's not serious. My fever is gone now. It's the doctor who insisted that I stay for a night for observation. It's safer to stay for observation. Besides, you're pregnant. It's for the sake of the baby that I stayed. Actually, I don't like hospitals at all. Huang Ling smiled. I don't like it either. Huang Ling, bring Auntie to the manor to play when you're free, Song Wuyo said. I'll take her there when I'm on leave at the end of the month. Song Wuyo reached out and held Huang Ling's hand. Tell me the truth. Does Migu feel good leaving you at the Civil Affairs Bureau? Of course, Huang Ling didn't feel good. But she didn't show it and hid it very well. No. Huang Ling shook her head. I don't feel bad at all. The only thing I feel bad about is that I'm worried about your wound. I wanted to visit you earlier, but I was afraid that Migu would be in the hospital. Wouldn't he drag me to the Civil Affairs Bureau after visiting you? After speaking, Huang Ling shook her head and sighed. Sigh. I shouldn't have been so impulsive back then. I didn't even think about it before agreeing to marry him. Song Wuyo looked at Huang Ling. How did he propose to you? Propose my ass, he didn't propose to me. Huang Ling raised her hands. Look, there isn't even a proposal ring. We're about to register our marriage, but there isn't even a wedding ring. Song Wuyo looked at Huang Ling's beautiful fingers. They were smooth and there was no ring. Song Wuyo said disdainfully, "Magoo, this man doesn't know how to be romantic. I'm going to despise him for 3 minutes. Luckily, he's not romantic. If he was, I would have accepted the ring and it would have been awkward when I returned it. He didn't propose to you or give you a ring. You agreed just like that. I'm very curious about what he said to you." Even Su Jing's ears perked up and she looked at Huang Ling expectantly. Huang Ling chuckled and said, "He said, Huang Ling, let's get married. I want to announce to the world on the day of my inauguration that you are Magoo's wife and the wife of the president of K country." I asked him why he did that. He said that he didn't want those women who had designs on him to pester him and bite him like flies. So, the president compared himself to a rotten egg. He really doesn't know how to be romantic and has a low EQ, Su Jing joked. Huang Ling gave Su Jing a thumbs up. You're right. He is indeed a rotten egg with a low EQ. Chapter 741. Huang Ling gave Su Jing a thumbs up. You're right. He's indeed a rotten egg with a low EQ, Su Jing smiled. It's fine if we say that in private, but don't call him a rotten egg in front of the president. Song Wuyo smiled. I think he won't do anything even if he hears us call him a rotten egg. Huang Ling pursed her lips. I'm not afraid even if he does anything to me. Yeah, you're the fearless Huang Ling, I'm afraid of you. Huang Ling held Song Wuyo's hand. Why are you injured? I'm being targeted. I can't help it. Song Wuyo smiled helplessly, but she didn't take these things to heart at all. Wuyo, it's fortunate that you're here. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what to do. Huang Ling held Song Wuyo's hand tightly and looked at Song Wuyo deeply. Song Wuyo didn't understand what Huang Ling meant. She looked at Huang Ling blankly. Huang Ling saw her blank face and said, if it were me, I would have been dead long ago in the face of Li Xinxin and Qing Wandua's provocation and Qing Jinxin and Qing Junhua's assassination. Song Wuyo frowned slightly when she heard that. She looked at Huang Ling. Huang Ling looked at her and smiled. I like this identity very much. Unlike before, she was like a rat crossing the street, hated by everyone. She worked quietly in the bar. People like Li Xinxin, Song Zhuyue, and Song Zhumei wouldn't find trouble with her. Without comparison, she wouldn't know. After comparison, Huang Ling realized that Huang Ling's life was happier. Life had passed in a flash for decades. Huang Ling felt that her days in the Song family had been wasted. Even if she met Gu Yanhao and fell in love with him, it would be a waste. Especially those 3 years when she was married to him, it was good now because Gu Yanhao didn't hate her as much as before. When Song Wuyo heard this, he immediately understood what Huang Ling meant. The two of them held each other's hands tightly. Song Wuyo looked at Huang Ling with a smile. Since you like this identity, you have to live well. Huang Ling nodded. I will. By the way, the fever didn't affect the fetus, right? Song Wuyo smiled and said, no, the baby is fine. Huang Ling stretched out her hand and gently touched Song Wuyo's flat belly. She said softly, baby, Godmother loves you so much. Tell Godmother, are you a baby boy or a baby girl, so Godmother can prepare beautiful clothes for you. Huang Ling raised her head and looked at Song Wuyo with a smile. Do you know the gender? Song Wuyo smiled. It's not so fast. Ah Ho asked the doctor. The doctor said that the ultrasound will be very accurate in 5 months. Huang Ling gently touched her stomach and looked at Song Wuyo with a smile. Do you like a boy or a girl? I gave birth to them. I like both. If you say that I like a boy the most, it's still a boy. But Ah-ho said that he likes a girl. Huang Ling smiled and her gaze was gentle. I like boys too. Wuyo, we can't all be mothers who value boys over girls, right? No. Song Wuyo said, I like babies very much. I want to have enough boys and girls. Huang Ling smiled mischievously. Later, you have to let Ah-ho take more kidney tonic medicine to make him stronger. Then you can have enough. Pervert. No man wants a woman who isn't perverted. Huang Ling sighed. Then you can be perverted. Let's see if many men want you. Song Wuyo smiled. Chapter 742. Huang Ling made a face at Song Wuyo and smiled. I'll accompany you to work. Of course. Otherwise, I'll be so bored that I'll go crazy. How can you be bored? Use your phone to surf the internet and check your WeChat moments. Time will pass quickly. I only have a few friends on WeChat. My moments have always been quiet. Moreover, Song Wuyo did not like to check her moments. I watch dramas and anime, Huang Ling said with a smile. I'm an adult and I still watch anime. It's not you. It's our baby. As they chatted, time passed just like that. At about 8:00, Gu Yanhao arrived. Gu Yanhao appeared in the ward in a black suit with a car key hanging in his hand. When she saw him in person, Huang Ling's heart couldn't help but move a little. After all, he was the man she had loved since she was 13. It was not so easy to forget. Seeing her, Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows and asked, Migu didn't look for you after that? Huang Ling smiled and said, No, I forgot to bring my cell phone. Time passes so quickly. I'm going to stay up late again. Huang Ling waved goodbye to Song Wuyo. Wuyo, I'm going to work. Wait for me to rest. Let's have dinner together. Okay. Song Wuyo smiled slyly at her. The manager is not here. When there are few guests, you can slack off. Don't tire yourself out. Huang Ling smiled. Of course, I'm very sly. After Huang Ling left, Gu Yanhao looked at Song Wuyo tenderly. Does your head still hurt? It doesn't hurt anymore. I'll stay here for the night and go home tomorrow. Then you have to make your body stronger. Just now, Huang Ling said that she doesn't want to marry Migu. Song Wuyo looked at Gu Yanhao. Gu Yanhao was shocked. You don't want to marry Migu anymore? Song Wuyo nodded. Yes, she said it herself. Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows. Could it be that Migu's actions today hurt her? She didn't admit it. I don't know either. She only said that she didn't want to marry Migu before she fell in love with him. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to handle the identity of Madam President and would break down. Song Wuyo said. When Gu Yanhao heard this, his gaze deepened and he raised his eyebrows slightly. Huang Ling is not eye-catching enough. She is indeed not qualified for the role of Madam President. Song Wuyo disagreed with Gu Yanhao's words. She married Migu to be his wife, to enjoy her happiness, not to work. But as the First Lady, at the very least, she has to accompany the President on overseas visits or receive the ladies who come to K country for visits. Huang Ling will have stage fright, and she doesn't know any other languages. Song Wuyo gave Gu Yanhao a sidelong glance. So do you mean that you like them to get married, or do you not want them to get married? Gu Yanhao narrowed his eyes. Of course, I want them to get married. After losing Migu's virginity, sleeping with a woman and tasting the taste of a woman, he wouldn't be such a monk. It was ridiculous to think about waiting for his lover of 1,000 years all day. But you said that Huang Ling isn't smart enough. It's not that she isn't smart, she's just inexperienced. She's like a frog at the bottom of a well. Then what should we do? Let Migu find a home tutor for Huang Ling to tutor Huang Ling in foreign languages. Lu Jiming is free now, right? I'll arrange for him to bring Huang Ling around the world to meet more people and things. When Su Jing heard this, her eyes widened and she looked at Gu Yanhao in surprise. Young Master Gu wanted to arrange for Lu Jiming and Huang Ling to travel around the world. What if they liked each other? Chapter 743. No one could have predicted this kind of thing. Especially when it came to traveling and business trips. When one was in a foreign country and lonely, it was very likely that one would do some crazy things. Song Wuyo unintentionally saw Su Jing's worried face and guessed what she was thinking. This girl liked Lu Jiming. She was worried that Lu Jiming and Huang Ling would go on a trip and like each other, right? However, this kind of thing could really happen. Song Wuyo smiled and then looked at Gu Yanhao. It's not good enough to arrange for Lu Jiming and Huang Ling to go out, right? At most, they will go to eat delicious food and see the sea. I feel that these things should be left to Migu. Since Migu wants to marry her, he should be responsible for everything. Gu Yanhao looked at Song Wuyo gently. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll talk to Migu later. Sigh. Song Wuyo held Gu Yanhao's wide palm and played with his fingers. She smiled and said, I'm lucky that I'm not the president or Madam President. Otherwise, wouldn't I have to cram in foreign languages? I can be your interpreter. Gu Yanhao smiled. No. Song Wuyo shook her head. If someone confesses to me and you translate it as insulting me, won't I lose face in front of them? Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows and tapped the tip of her nose. Woman, you still want someone to confess to you? Song Wuyo looked up and blinked. Of course I don't want to, but if the other party wants to confess, I can't do anything. Who asked me to have a face that can topple countries? Gu Yanhao said coldly, I want to write the words Mrs. Gu on your face. Haven't you heard that some men like rich women? Gu Yanhao's eyes darkened and he stared at Song Wuyo. I also like young girls. But I'm not a young girl. What you said today is not very nutritious. Let me instill some nutrition into you. As he spoke, Gu Yanhao's lips pressed down and stole the words that Song Wuyo was about to say. When Su Jing saw this, she quickly slipped away as if she was running for her life. He did not forget to close the door for them. Song Wuyo's eyes widened as she looked at the handsome face in front of her. Her lips had always been so sweet. Especially after she got pregnant, there was an indescribable charm that always tempted Gu Yanhao. Now that he kissed her lips, Gu Yanhao immediately felt it. Song Wuyo had been pregnant for almost 3 months, but he still hadn't touched her. For a man as energetic and strong as he was, this was a torment. He bent over and held Song Wuyo's head with both hands to prevent her from moving. He sucked on her lips forcefully as if he was eating a popsicle. It was so sweet that it made him addicted. As the kiss deepened, Gu Yanhao's hands moved down Song Wuyo's collar. The collar of the hospital gown looked very big on Song Wuyo. Gu Yanhao slid one hand down and there was more than enough space. When his big palm covered Song Wuyo's chest, Song Wuyo was shocked. She pressed down on Gu Yanhao's hand and looked at him with misty eyes. Oh, no. She was pregnant. Gu Yanhao's lips did not leave hers. I'm not sitting. I'm just kissing and touching. Wifey, I've been holding it in for a long time. You can count how long it's been since I've eaten meat. Gu Yanhao's kisses were all over her face, then her earlobe, then from her earlobe, down her collarbone. Song Weio's body went limp from his teasing and she fell back. Gu Yanhao's body followed. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.